welcome to yet another episode of not the Sons of Sarazal podcast, of the Demons from Outer Space, the other podcast that we record. Joining me as always, of course, I have my good buddy, Dylan McCandless, aka Super DM64. Dylan, how you doing today, man? I
am doing just fine. I am not drunk this time, so.
No, not at all. The last time we recorded a video together was indeed the episode of Through the Shot Glass that we did, the backdoor pilot for an SOS, and we were just reminiscing about that before we started because we had quite the hangovers the next day. That was quite intense.
We did it all for you.
We did it all for you, young viewers. Not true. It was really fucking fun. We did it for us too.
Yeah, we did it. I did.
But
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mostly did it for me. I didn't really do it for anybody else. But
I don't really do anything in my life for anyone other than me. So.
No, but you know what? If other people happen to enjoy it, that's fine with me. That's pretty good. That means I accidentally contributed something to society, and that's probably the only thing I'll ever contribute to society is by accident.
Drunken rambling.
So, bearing that in mind, Dylan, today on this entertainment topic-based episode of the Demons from Outer Space, we are going to be talking about something similar to Spectre. We probably should have talked about a long time ago, but just life has made it so that we've only just watched what we had to watch to talk about it now.
Well, you've only watched what you had to watch.
Yeah.
I've actually fallen a few episodes behind, but I have been keeping up with it for the most part ever since it started.
We'll fucking pin a rose on your ass, fucking bitch.
I will. I will.
Well, you fucking go right ahead. I have to go out and fucking live in this goddamn world.
I would if I could. Bitch.
Oh, that was a nice pull. But
I watched that
today,
clip recently. I've been holding on to it.
I've been holding on to it, just in case of emergencies.
Just waiting. I should really turn it into a meme, but I have way too many memes that I hold on to anyway.
It is a meme already.
It is?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a meme for years, man. That thing's been around since, like, I don't know, the late 90s.
I've only ever seen the video clip. No, the movie came out.
I've never seen the movie either.
The movie came out in, like, 91, and memes were not even a thing in the late 90s.
No, but I know that it became a meme way before I heard of it for the first time. Like most memes, I'm usually pretty behind. Except in this damn Daniel thing. You heard of damn Daniel?
No.
It's as a meme. I just heard about it recently from a friend of mine. And
like when Andres was telling me about Left Shark, and I was like, "What?"
It's like a shoe thing. I don't know. It's a young boy. He's walking around, and somebody's he identifies he's got nice shoes, and he goes, "Damn, Daniel!" And it's kind of funny because he's really annoying in the way he talks, and obviously the young boy. And when I say young boy, he's like fucking 16.
Is this like a new thing?
Yeah, well, I think so, because the second my friend told me about it, I went home and all of a sudden I saw it fucking everywhere. It was all over my Facebook timeline. It was all over Twitter.
I gotta say, the big thing
just happened.
The big thing of 2015, of course, was D's Nuts, and if this is the big thing now, we're going down in quality, I think.
Yeah, I think so, because D's Nuts was quite a masterpiece.
It was amazing.
Would you agree?
I'm probably still going to vote for D's Nuts for president.
Right. I mean, listen, I'm feeling the burn. I'm a big fan of Bernie Sanders, but
if
I had, I might do a write-in. I might be feeling these nuts.
Feeling these nuts.
Yeah. So, damn, Daniel. But nah. Instead, on today's episode of the Demons from Outer Space, it's damn Akira Toriyama, because we're going to be talking about the first. I would say season, but it's not really a season. The first saga of DragonBall Super. Yeah, we've been putting this off for a long time. The Beerus Saga, as it is more properly known, I guess, by people of some variety. I've seen it listed as that in some circles. Also as the Battle of Gods Saga, because it is, for all intents and purposes, a knockoff of the Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods movie that came out in 2013.
Essentially a retelling taking place in a slightly different continuity.
So, Dylan, today we're going to be reviewing that retelling of Battle of Gods, and the first question I would like to ask you about talking about the first saga of Dragon Ball Super, did you think it was super?
I'm going to say no.
No, I didn't think it was either. Is it any good?
Yes.
Because listen, we've talked a lot of shit about this in the past. This is not the first time we've talked about Dragon Ball Super. I've said my piece on it of the little bit that I had seen, and now I've seen the entire Battle of God saga and a little more. We're not just going to stop at the end of the Beerus stuff in this one. We're going to go a little bit beyond, because we'll definitely get a full hour out of it. And I watched a little bit past the end of the Battle of God stuff, so we'll dip in a little bit into Resurrection F. But most of it is pretty much just epilogue stuff for Beerus anyway. So it's fitting that we talk about it here, I feel, and we'll eventually come back to very soon, trust me, the Resurrection F stuff.
It suffers for a couple reasons.
Yes.
Namely, first of all, not as good as the movie Battle of Gods. Not even
remotely.
No, there are some interesting.
The second you're comparing them.
There are some interesting additions to the story. There are some nice little like caveats and things that it adds to it that are neat. But overall, Battle of Gods is just a better experience. It's just a tighter, better told story. And that's the other thing, is that this stretched out for way too many episodes, I think.
Yeah, 14 episodes, Dylan. A story that was designed, that was honed and designed for a 2-hour movie.
You literally could have just split those 2 hours of movie up into 4 30-minute episodes, and I would have been fine with that. Because it
would have been fine, but 14's a lot, man. That last fight is a mess.
It is.
It's a complete mess.
They've padded it out ridiculously. One thing that you will find that I certainly admired was that they did not do as bad of a job with the Resurrection F story. They didn't pad it.
So far, the quality has improved, I feel, once we got to Resurrection F.
They didn't pad it out nearly as much. But yeah, Battle of Gods, they really tried to stretch it for all it was worth, and it doesn't always work.
But also with the Resurrection F stuff that I've watched so far,
also the animation quality, people have already made fun of this as long as the day is long. Wait,
24 hours of Dragon Ball Z bitching.
What the fuck that saying is that I just butchered. Anyway, people have already made fun of this, but the animation quality in this first story arc was really not good, and it has
incredibly far at best,
and it has improved since this. There are some wonky things in the Resurrection F story where like you'll have a bunch of Frieza soldiers, and like some of them will just be like still images in the background because they don't have like the CG that they had in the movie.
That's true. Yeah.
There are some moments like that, but I mean overall the animation has improved dramatically since this first batch of episodes. So that's another thing where this kind of falls flat. I think I don't know if anything they could have done would have matched my expectations. For this, because they're like, we're doing a new sequel to DBZ.
It was
like,
such a bad idea from the get-go.
The bar is pretty high. I would have been much happier, probably, if we had just continued doing more DBZ movies to continue the story.
I don't know about that. I was fine with them doing another series. I thought where it's set was a strange choice.
And I think the first bad idea they made, the setting it in the time skip, my DVD shelf is going to hate that.
Right? Yeah.
Setting it during the time skip, probably a bad decision. Also, second bad decision.
Interesting. It has led to some interesting things, but they haven't done anything so far that hasn't made me go, well, why didn't we just set this after Rube?
The decision to retell the movies, I think, was a mistake.
Absolutely.
For reasons that we've already stated. I would be so much happier, really, if this just started after Resurrection F and we started with the Champa stuff. It would be
absolutely.
A million.
There's no reason why they didn't have to. I get that there were certain details that they added in that set up the Champa stuff better. Like one thing that you mentioned...
you can just open with the shit with Goku, and I don't think you've gotten this far yet, but Goku and Vegeta, they're on Beerus' world with Whis, and they're training and shit. You could have opened with that, have the Battle of Resurrection F already
no reason not to.
And then have Champa show up and shit goes down. I mean, you didn't need all of this. But I mean, there are some fun episodes in between, so I'm like... On the one hand, I'm like, I wouldn't want to.
It's not all bad. It's not all. I think moment to moment, it's quite good. Actually, I think it's quite entertaining. I can't really say I was necessarily completely bored. I was generally entertained. I just think the last fight it stretches itself out to the point of absolute absurdity. It completely jumps the shark in its attempt to make that fight last 5 or 6 episodes.
It doesn't stretch itself out as much as like Frieza on Namek. But the difference being Frieza...
No, of course not.
But the difference being Frieza on Namek was absurdly entertaining.
But that's also like a classic. Like this is a story that had already been told in 2 hours.
Yeah.
So to see it stretched out like this and to be told so much poorly than the movie and look so much poorly than the movie, it's impossible not to compare it and go, this is like a really bad attempt to retell that story. Not a really bad attempt, but just an unnecessary, less interesting attempt to retell that story. And that's all I could take away from it.
Yeah.
But moment to moment, I don't think it's bad. There's tons of funny moments in this that are not in the movie. Because this gets to stretch itself out to give way more detail. I love the subplot with Mr. Satan that's added into this, where he's trying to deal with explaining the Beerus stuff to the general public while it's happening towards the end. But what I was going to say before, when you fucking cut me off, was when we talked about this in the first episode of Season 4 of SOS that we did, where you were mentioning how when Champa and Beerus fought on Beerus' homeworld, the beginning of the Champa saga, it started to disintegrate Beerus' planet. We see that in this. And it's where when Goku and Beerus are fighting, after a certain amount of blows, when Goku's still a Super Saiyan God, a couple of
slightly different. It's slightly different in this instance, because in this instance, Goku and Beerus's punches are sort of sending out shockwaves that are causing chaos across the universe. In the Beerus Champa instance, and I know you haven't gotten to this yet, they're standing on a table, and like the table literally starts to descend. You remember what Beerus did to that egg in the movie? Like that starts to happen to this fucking table. It's like the fucking reality bomb.
Davros used. It's not the same thing.
It's not the same effect, but I think it is a similar concept.
It's a similar idea, because the whole idea is supposed to be that their power is so great that the fact that they're fighting is causing catastrophic damage to the entire universe.
Right.
And what was interesting to see about this was they literally did take the story of the movie and just adapt it as best they could to a saga of Dragon Ball Z. Like, it's altered a bit in order to make it fit into that mold a little better, mainly in that they sort of upped the stakes a bit in the last part of it in order to make it feel like there's a little bit more going on, and that this is a little bit more like a saga of Dragon Ball Z where the whole world is at risk. And not that the world isn't at risk in the movie, but the movie plays Beerus off as much more of a casual villain. That's what made Beerus so interesting to people.
Yeah.
Was that he wasn't this, I just want to destroy because I like destroying type of villains. He was charming, just force of nature. And in this, he's still that way, but it's up to the point where the very fight itself is threatening the universe. And it's being forced to happen is the threat.
Well, I think Beerus also plays himself a little more seriously in the show than he does in the movie.
Simply because, like that.
Well, because...
You don't like that.
And the whole reason is, if you think about the way the show is structured, they need him in those couple episodes, because they have to assume that somebody might watch this episode who hasn't seen the movie. They need him in these first couple episodes to, like, show up and be all ominous and shit. And so they have to, like, play him up as, like, more serious than he actually is. And then later on in the show, after he's become more familiar with Goku and sort of becomes a member of the gang, he sort of reverts more into the mold of what he was in the movie. In the movies.
But I don't think Beerus should have been readapted to be a villain in a saga, though. He doesn't work in that mold to me. To me, you know what I mean by casual villain? Like, he kind of just shows up in the movie and is just like, hey guys, listen, I can destroy your entire fucking race, but I'm just going to chill with you to see if I like you, and I'm just trying to figure out what this dream I had means, so that's all I'm trying to do. It was perfect for a 2-hour movie, bro, and then the show comes along and it readapts him into something else, and I just found it to be less engaging because it just felt like kind of an unnecessary attempt to retell that story in a way that I found less interesting and kind of a bit of a slog. It also takes forever to get going. Like, Goku and Beerus don't meet until 5 episodes in. That's crazy. I really like what you said before. This should have been shorter. This should have been like 8 episodes.
What I did enjoy about having Beerus in these first few episodes of them trying to make him all ominous and stuff, though, is I love the moments where Beerus just gets to be a badass, and we get a few more of those in this show. There's the episode, I think it's in like the second episode, where he goes to that planet and he fights that alien that has like 6 arms or whatever.
That's the very end of the first one.
Oh, end of the first one. Then there's the one with...
Yeah, and then the end of the second one is the caveman, I think, maybe.
And then there's the episode there's an episode where these people on this planet cook him a meal, and he likes the meal, but he thinks it's a little too greasy, so he only destroys half of their planet.
Yes, which ultimately destroys the other half as well.
Yes. So just
Ratchet and Clank taught me as a boy.
Moments like that are great, and the first couple episodes before they like really get into the meat of the Battle of God story are great. I love the sort of catching up with the characters moments that we get in the first episode where Goku is a farmer and then Hercule winds up giving him some money. And
I really enjoyed Goku being a radish farmer. Despite making fun of that when we first heard about it, I really quite enjoyed that.
The Raditz farming. And then the second episode with Vegeta taking his family to that amusement park was fucking great.
That was really fantastic. I really enjoyed that one. That was a great... Moments like that...
A great way to capitalize on that little throwaway line from DBZ that honestly I had forgotten about until they brought it up. That Vegeta
to be honest,
trucks to an amusement park.
It's sort of a retcon because that's not what Vegeta said in the show. And he also took him to the park right after that.
Oh.
So it's a little bit of a retcon.
Yeah, there are some tiny retcon-y things here, and I don't know if it's just because Akira Toriyama doesn't remember.
Probably. I think that's the case. I think that he's not remembering right.
I think his memory of how things went are kind of fuzzy because now one thing that...
I mean, can you blame him? He hasn't written that stuff in like 20 years.
Well, you could go back and read it before you start writing.
Absolutely, but he's not going to do that, Dylan.
Because
Akira fucking Toriyama.
Another thing that pisses me off a little bit is that Shinron is now capable of granting 3 wishes.
Oh, is he? I haven't gotten to that place yet. Oh, wait, when he pops up on the cruise ship, he's able to cast 3 wishes?
Yeah, you haven't gotten
Grant 3 wishes.
You haven't gotten to the point where Sorbet actually asks Shinron to resurrect.
No, I only just saw Sorbet for the first time on the ship.
That's a mistake in Dragon Ball Super. He actually is able to grant 3 wishes now, which is stupid because they got it right in the movie. I don't.
But when he pops up on the cruise ship in the Beerus Saga, do they say 2 or do they even say the number? I don't even think they say the number if I'm remembering right.
I think they did. I think he saw.
Yeah, I think he just shows up and they're like, "Oh, Shinron." He's like, "Oh shit, Beerus, fucking be quick."
I don't think he even remembered that like they had more than one wish because he saw Beerus and he just wanted to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, that's weird. Because in the show it is 2. Shinron gets 2 at the end of the Cell Saga.
Right.
And they never gave him any more than that on screen anyway. Maybe they did off screen in this. Maybe they'll put that in the manga. Because we also do have to remember
because Dende wasn't able to upgrade him to 3 wishes for reasons I don't really remember.
No, I don't even think they explained that.
There was some sort of explanation. They had to use that energy for something else. I think it was. I don't remember. And I think the reason that he only had 1 wish to begin with is because Kami had like memory trouble and didn't really know what the fuck he was doing when he made the dragon in the first place.
He was kind of drunk. He was kind of just like, "Oh God, I gotta make these Dragon Balls for this planet."
How do I even remember what those are, Mr. Popo?
My memory was wiped of my home planet. I didn't even know I was a fucking alien until fucking recently. Do you remember that moment in the fucking manga where he just kind of looks and he's like, "Oh, I've always wondered what these fucking antennae meant. Like, I always wondered why I wasn't a human. Like, what the fuck did you think you were?"
Always thought I was a demon. Turns out I'm a space slug.
Yeah, word. So, let's take this back to the beginning. It's like one of those
people on like the Ancestry.com commercials. It's like, I thought I was fucking Irish, but then I went and looked and turns out I'm a slug from space.
I thought I had a very boring family history, and then I went back in time and found out that my uncle was a serial rapist. It was quite... I'm really glad that I used Ancestry.com. Dylan...
Then I found out
so,
I had relatives on both sides of every major war.
Including the Indo-American Wars, which doesn't really make any sense. Dylan, what were the major differences that you enjoyed or didn't enjoy between this and the Battle of Gods movie? For instance, you have... the first episode is kind of... It's not even different. It just kind of takes place before the movie.
Yeah.
Because the movie opens with Goku training on King Kai's planet, and this goes a little bit... It sets that up. Because Goku's on Earth, he's a Raditz. He's a Raditz farmer. He's a radish farmer.
I did enjoy that setup for how he actually gets to King Kai's planet. Again, the first couple episodes are really great. It's only once they really start getting into the Beerus stuff that I really started having problems.
Once the fighting starts happening, that you're like, oh wow, this animation is complete fucking balls. Right, gotcha.
Yeah, but I mean,
before that, you're kind of like, oh, this is fun. I'm catching up with Goku and everybody. And he's a radish farmer.
Let's be fair for a moment. The fight animation in DBZ wasn't always stellar.
No, I know, but I have a little bit of a higher expectation for this because it's based on Battle of Gods, and that animation is gorgeous.
It's true.
And I know that it can't recreate that.
Except for like the awkward CG moment.
Yeah, well, it's not perfect, but it looks pretty damn... It looks better than this does, certainly. And I guess that that's a movie and everything, but that's why they shouldn't have done this in the first place. That's why they shouldn't have retold this story from the get-go, because they're gonna have to be compared to Battle of Gods, and the animation just can't hold up to that to recreate that fight. I mean, it's like there's not even a comparison between those two fights. Like, the one in the movie is incredible, and the one in the show is just okay at best.
Yeah.
But so you have the setup with the radish farmer and everything, and Mr. Satan giving Goku the Zenny, the prize money from the World Peace Fund or whatever that Mr. Hercule that Hercule got from beating Majin Buu, Mr. Hercule. So then instead of Bulma going on having this big birthday bash at her house, you have her going on a cruise ship. You have Vegeta going off and training. You have Goku then going off to King Kai's planet, or Kaio-sama's planet, to go train.
Which, by the way, it's hilarious, because at a later point in the series, I don't know if you've made it this far or not, but at a later point in the series, Chi-Chi's like, you gotta go back to work, and Goku's like, what about all the money Mr. Satan gave us? And she's just like, I spent it.
Well, the other thing is that watching the little bit of the Resurrection F stuff that I have, that was my only problem with it. I was like, this is kind of repetitive, because this is exactly how the fucking Beerus stuff started, with Goku arguing with Chi-Chi over money, and then he goes off to train, not to King Kai's planet, but to Beerus's planet.
I love the fact. Oh wait, we can get into that when we get through with the Beerus shit.
So you have the cruise ship. You have a little bit of a different.
Yeah, there a lot of the changes that are made.
They don't show Beerus waking up in this version, do they? No, he starts off destroying a planet.
You just see him destroying a planet, which kind of threw me for a loop the first time I watched it.
We spend less time with Beerus in the show than we do in the movie, and that's better for what they're trying to do with him, make him more of a straight-up villain.
Yeah.
But I don't like that they did that to him, so...
Some of the changes they made, though...
kind of a double-edged sword.
Some of the changes they made, though, I'm like, that's fine, but it's like, I don't even understand why that needed to be a change.
The cruise ship?
Like, the cruise ship, why does it have to be on a cruise ship?
It made for a less interesting battle location. They spent the whole fighting either in the air or, over water or in the water.
I think they
or
did
in space.
I think they did it to save on animation costs, honestly.
I think so, too.
They wouldn't have to draw a city.
Yeah, I think so. Or a wasteland, even. They're getting even too lazy for wasteland.
They're lazier than Power Rangers. Are they going to fight the rock quarry? No. Water.
No, air. They're just going to vaguely hover above blue. Blue sky, blue water. It's so easy to animate. It's basically a solid background. And then on top of that, you have the really lazy character designs.
The only thing we have to try to draw is the ship. Everything else, easy peasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else is there that was quite different? The scene where Vegeta gets angry is a little different. In this, it's a little bit of a bigger moment. There's a little bit more of a build up to it.
That was actually one change that I didn't mind, because that was one of the big moments from the movie that I really liked, and it was one of the few things in the show that I thought they actually paid justice to, because they amped it up a little bit more than the movie even did, because they had to kind of fill an episode with it. like the title.
Yeah, they did a whole episode out of it.
The whole title of that episode is like Beerus slaps Bulma or something like that.
It's Vegeta goes nuts because his bitch got slapped or some shit.
Yeah, he's like, my Bulma, and then
my Bulma. And we actually noticeably see him go Super Saiyan 2, not just Super Saiyan, so that was a nice little addition as well, because in the movie he just kind of goes Super Saiyan, but in this it's clear that he goes to beyond that.
Yeah.
So
to as far as we had ever seen him go at that point in the continent.
Yeah, because he could only go up to Super Saiyan 2 at that point, as far as we know anyway. What did you think of all the party stuff in this? Because that was some of the funniest stuff in the movie. Did it fall flat for you in this, or was it just as funny, or was it just fine? I thought it just kind of filled space. It filled time. I didn't really get any real sense of entertainment out of it.
The interactions between Vegeta and Beerus when Beerus first shows up on the ship and everything, that's all great. But overall,
it's a lot more antagonistic than in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's antagonistic in the movie, but in this, Beerus kind of tortures Vegeta a little bit in this.
Yeah. But overall, yeah, I mean, what can I say? Overall, it's just not as well done as it is in the movie.
No, it's just not. Do you think part of that is that we watched this, because we should have mentioned this a while ago, we watched the Japanese version for, the first time ever.
Well, yeah, because the English dub hasn't been done yet, and
No, it's not done yet.
I could not wait for it to be done to watch.
I was gonna, but you wouldn't let me. You were like, no, Bill, you have to watch it.
And I've had to get used to the Japanese voices and the music,
Yeah.
which I was going to have to get used to anyway, because they don't really write original anime scores when they adapt them to America anymore.
No, it's very frowned upon now, and I
just-
imagine it'll be the same thing for Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super.
They just roll with what they're given from the people, which is a shame. I really wish that they could get Bruce Faulkner back. I saw a thing on Facebook where somebody took a scene. I think it was from Battle of Gods. It was a Beerus scene, but I wasn't really sure if it was from Battle of Gods or from Super, because there are a lot of moments that are similar, but I'm pretty sure it was from Battle of Gods. I remember what it was. It was the My Bulma scene. They took that and they put in Vegeta's Super Saiyan theme from the Bruce Faulkner score.
Oh, I saw that! That was cool!
It was fucking epic.
Yeah, that was epic. I like that a lot. Yeah, I miss moments like that. I also saw something on Facebook that was Dragon Ball Super drawn in the style of late 90s Dragon Ball Z. That was really cool. And Dragon Ball Z used to look a lot grittier, obviously, than Super does. Super is very bright and sort of pastel looking, and I don't really like that about it.
I really miss the grittier anime style that we had in the 90s with shows like DBZ at the time, and also like Trigun and shit like that. Now everything has...
There's less blood in Super, too.
Yeah, and
there's not really a lot of blood.
Now everything has this like super polished Attack on Titan look, which works fine for Attack on Titan.
Yeah, well, Attack on Titan is super gritty. It doesn't need that to look super gritty. The polish is just because like the animation has the budget to be really high.
Yeah.
But in this, obviously the budget for the animation isn't as high with this, which I find fucking astounding because it's Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
But
they could just as easily have gone back to a grittier style, and I think I would have liked it more.
Yeah.
I mean, they did that.
But do you think that the flashier...
They did that.
Flashier...
The movies were all over the place in terms of the animation, because you had Fusion Reborn that was very late DBZ in terms of its animation, looked very much like the Boo stuff. And then the very next movie, Wrath of the Dragon, is like super gritty again. Like it's all like sketchy looking and shit, like 90s DBZ. Like we were just talking. It's like they do that with the movies. The movies kind of go all over the place. So I wouldn't have minded at all if they had reverted to like a grittier look for this movie. I mean, this series.
But do you think that a more colorful pastel nature works better with the story? Because it's a little bit more about cosmic sort of... It's a little more humor-based,
Yeah, it is.
Back and...
It is a lot more similar, except in the moments when it's trying to be DBZ, which is honestly a lot of what's wrong with...
Yeah, it doesn't work. Like when Beerus and Goku are trying to intimidate each other, it doesn't work.
A lot of what's wrong with the Beerus stuff is it's trying too hard to be like DBZ. And this is another thing that I think they sort of balance better when you get into the Resurrection stuff. But they tried too hard to make it feel like DBZ, when overall Super is a lot more like the original Dragon Ball. In terms
and its source material.
In terms of its tone, its writing, everything. I mean, the movie, obviously. That's one thing that we mentioned when we reviewed the movie over on my channel at DBZ Movie Reviews Episode 8. Is that plug is that they reverted to a more classic style of writing in that, with
which I enjoyed for that story, and
with the Dragon Ball humor and everything. Honestly, if you wanna try and make a super arc that feels more like DBZ, save that for the Resurrection F, because that's kind of what that movie did. It'll be fine, but they try a little too hard to make this feel that way, and it doesn't work. Honest.
I didn't buy the attempts to make the fight seem very. I didn't buy the attempt to make the stakes of the fight seem very high, because ultimately you know how it's going to fucking end because you've seen the movie. Probably, I've certainly seen the movie, but more than that,
I saw the movie like 2 fucking years ago, bro.
Yeah.
Saw the movie and then spent a fucking year anticipating the next movie. Like it's been my life,
But also, Beerus and Goku are constantly holding back.
Yeah, they are.
So how am I supposed to take the fight seriously when they're not?
Yeah, how many times did they do that fake out in this show?
About 7 times.
I remember
once per episode.
I remember one moment in the movie where they did the whole, "Oh, you're not really going all out, are you?" And they're like, "Oh, no, I'm not." "Well, I'm not either." "Oh," and then they I remember them doing that once in the movie, that whole DBZ, "You fool, this isn't even my final form" kind of trope. And in this, they do it like 7 times.
They do it every episode until the fight's over, because they have to stretch it out to a full fucking saga. And it doesn't work.
2 or 3 fake outs where you think Goku has lost the God power, and then he'll freak out again and go back into God mode. They do 2 or 3 fake outs like that, and I'm like, just end it at this point. Just let it go.
Absolutely. So, what did you think of trying to think where we were exactly. We were kind of talking about the differences. So obviously we both really liked the Vegeta takes Bulma and Trunks on a family vacation episode.
No.
What about that really struck you? Did you think it was better than the Goku being a radish farmer episode? Because I certainly enjoyed it more.
Yes.
Mostly because we've never really seen anything like that for Vegeta.
Some of my favorite moments in DBZ were when you take these characters and have them, like, living normal lives.
Yes, that's some of my favorite moments as well.
This is why I love Goku and Piccolo driving cars. This is why...
I love Goku protecting Dragon Eggs and being late to a party.
Yeah, this is why I love in Super Android 13, where the whole beginning of the movie is Chi-Chi dragging Goku on a shopping trip. Like, moments like that are great. And we don't really get that a lot with Vegeta. And it's even more entertaining with Vegeta.
No, because Vegeta's always off by himself brooding.
Yeah, waiting for...
And in this, he's forced to not be.
He's always off waiting for the fish to jump. But, now... it's even more entertaining to have him have this kind of moment because he's such a fucking, like, curmudgeon. One of my favorite types of characters. And he just...
because you sympathize so much with it.
I sympathize greatly with the curmudgeonly characters. It's great. I don't know.
Don't ever put Dylan into a Ring of Fire show because he'll fucking blow up the entire fucking stadium if you push him too much. I literally thought that might be a moment where I was like, is Vegeta about to slaughter hundreds of people and not give a shit? Because I thought that's what was going to happen. Instead, he just leaves, which was probably for the best.
Yeah.
And Trunks and Bulma are both like, wow, it's shocking that he made it this far. And I was like, that's fucked up, but also very funny.
It was great.
And also, that's the other thing for some reason with the Japanese cast and the way this story was adapted, the fucked up nature of Goku and Vegeta is, like, ramped up to, like, 1 million.
Yeah.
Like, just, they're kind of dickheads in this. I mean, Vegeta is who he is.
They really show how dysfunctional these people are.
Yes, absolutely, because we get to see them so much in everyday situations.
Which only makes us sympathize with them all the more. And it's...
yeah, I certainly enjoyed that. It's fun to see Goku not want to be a grandpa. I mean, even though it's like, Goku, you should probably be a good grandpa, but he's like, nah, it's not really my thing, bruh. I'll pop in every now and then, but I'm not... like, I'm sort of like rooting for Goku to be a deadbeat grandpa. It's fucking crazy.
I mean, well, they want to separate themselves from GT as much as possible. And in GT, Goku is all about being a grandpa.
No, but even then, he's still a deadbeat grandpa.
The world's tiniest grandpa, but a grandpa.
And worse, because he takes her on, like, dangerous adventures and gets her killed almost several times. Or almost gets her killed.
Pan, you want to go to space?
Hey, Pan, he was like the Rick of the Dragon Ball Z universe before there was a Rick. The Rick and Morty fan.
At least I'm with you this time. It's not like when Gohan went to space and I was in, like, a hospital bed on Earth.
I was constantly on the verge of death and then disappearing just because I didn't give a shit.
So I'm being a slightly better grandpa than I was a father, which is not saying much.
Not in this series though, because he hasn't even met her as far as I've seen yet. He hasn't
No.
They haven't shared any screen time.
Well, has she actually popped up yet?
Yes, I saw the episode where she first is born. Yeah.
Okay, because
you don't see that, but that's what it's called.
Right, that'd be a great episode. Videl goes into labor.
Videl shoots a baby out of her cooch.
Goes Super Saiyan. No, so...
Finally.
Yeah, I couldn't remember exactly at what point Pan actually shows up. Because at one point she's just there. Like, in one episode Videl is pregnant, and then in the next episode there's a little bit of a...
well, there's a time skip, which is kind of where we're going to cut off.
Is it the episode right after the Beerus stuff ends? That you, like, come back and Videl's fucking pregnant?
No, there's an episode after that that's an epilogue, which is where...
Super Saiyan Hercule, right?
No. Yes, Super Saiyan Hercule, Beerus... in the last episode we see Beerus go back to his house and go to sleep. And then we see Whis come back and get food from Bulma. And then the next episode there's a time skip of 6 months because Vegeta goes off the train with Whis.
Right, and we get to see Piccolo babysitting Videl, not Videl, Pan. Fuck it.
I haven't seen that yet.
You didn't see Piccolo babysitting Pan?
No.
I thought that was like in the
what
first
I've seen so far is Mr. Satan babysitting Pan, Gohan turning into Great Saiyaman, and in front of her and like fake fighting Mr. Satan for like Pan's affection, and then Chi-Chi comes in and like is like really outraged by what she sees because she's like super. Okay, so for some reason in this Chi-Chi has suddenly become super anti-martial arts
again.
And well, she's always been that way, but like more so than usual because Pan's been born. Because she thinks that that Goku and the rest of her family are all really bad examples.
When she had,
and these are some of the interesting details that the movies haven't had.
When she had Goten, because she was always super anti the martial arts thing when Gohan was little. But then when she had Goten, she kind of mellowed out.
Because Goku was dead, and now Goku's alive again.
It was like second kid, whatever, She was all like a bit more laid back at that point. But now that she's a grandmother, she's reverted back to her old ways, which I guess is true to form.
I like that. Well, because Goku's alive again, so he's there to give her shit and for her to give him shit.
Yeah.
So there's less of like a stigma attached to
I want more.
Her raising her children in a way that Goku would have appreciated. So that's not there anymore. She knows that he's not going to change. She knows that he's still going to be a martial artist and impact her in that way. I just think that she's trying to stifle it as much as she can.
We need more moments like the one in Z, where Goku like pats Chi-Chi on the back and accidentally sends her flying through the wall. Because that's like the funniest fucking thing.
It's so fucked.
It's like the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. Like I just want a gif of that all the time.
There is one. There is?
I need to find it.
I've seen it. But I find stuff like that interesting. Do you like stuff like that? Like seeing her kind of be against Pan being a martial artist and conflict like that. I mean, it's going to be resolved in 2 seconds. And it is. Like, once Goku leaves to go off and train with Whis, instantly Chi-Chi's like, oh, Goku, he always knows what's right. He'll come back when he's hungry, yeah. But it was interesting to see that conflict play out, where she, like, locks everybody out except for her, Videl, Bulma, and Pan.
Yeah.
That moment was kind of interesting and kind of funny.
A lot of the moments in this show so far. Well, up to the point that we're talking about.
All the best moments are stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I like.
I agree. Yeah.
Because this show came out so long after DBZ, obviously, all these like where are they now moments are like what's going on in their life. How do they feel about this? It's all really interesting to see.
I agree. I completely agree. So. Where were we then exactly? Other things though that you enjoyed. Oh, here's a weird thing I noticed. How come? So I find it interesting that we go from Dragon Ball Z, which is obviously kind of future-based technology, and then you go to this, and it's still future-based technology. It's still dinosaurs and flying cars and space travel and all that. But then there's also an obvious attempt to make it look like our modern-day society with smartphones and everything, and the fashion is very present day.
Yeah.
Did you like that, or did you think that was very forced and didn't really make sense for them to go from, like, late 90s Batman Beyond-esque future to, like, a modern-day type of deal with smartphones and selfies and all that shit? Because that's the thing I noticed. All the ad cutaways, all the eye catches in this are selfies with the different cast members.
I noticed.
Did you notice that?
I noticed this, but I didn't really think about it because the DBZ universe has never been consistent.
No, so I don't mind it. I was asking if you did, though.
Not really, because I really didn't even think about it until you were just talking about it. I noticed that they had done that, but it didn't really strike me one way or the other.
Okay, so it didn't really bug me either. I actually kind of enjoyed that aspect of it. What did you think about all the supporting characters interacting with the central conflict? So, because you had kind of enhanced roles for some people. Yeah. Piccolo had a little bit more screen time. He actually got to fight Beerus, I think, in this, as opposed to...
Now, one thing is, due to the fact of them moving the action to a cruise ship, they had to really convolute the whole Pilaf thing.
Yeah, so he's on a boat.
Super convoluted. They're on a boat. They're looking for the Dragon Balls, and I guess they track them to the boat, and then they get on the boat, and they go after the... Why do you even... Like, if you got to make it this convoluted, you really could have just cut them out of it, because they weren't even that important in the movie. You really...
No, they were like the worst part of the movie.
Like, you need Pilaf and Shu and Mai. You need them in Resurrection F, because they...
So they should be in there somewhat,
Because they help out in the beginning of Resurrection F. You need them for that. You don't really need them here, especially not the way it's been done in this version. Because you don't even have that... I don't even think we had that little subplot with, like, Mai pretending to be Trunks' girlfriend this time, did we?
No, that's not in this at all, I don't think.
That's gone. All of the stuff that actually was fun and interesting with them just isn't there. They're on the boat, and they get off the boat,
They're on a boat, motherfucker.
That's it. And then they get off the big boat back onto their little boat at some point. And they swim off.
There's no connection between them and the rest of the cast. The person they interact the most with is actually Whis in this. And by the way, Whis was fucking great in this. Just getting different lines from him at all was amazing.
Beerus might have
just seeing new Whis stuff was good.
They might have altered Beerus's personality for the show, but Whis is the same guy.
He's the same character. Thank fucking God, my favorite Dragon Ball Z character has been retained. Because I fucking love that dude.
Whis is amazing. Love me some Whis.
I love the moment where he tries ramen. That was amazing.
Yes.
And he has a fucking 2001 realization moment.
I love that. That's the way. That's another great episode, Vegeta episode. Him trying to convince Whis to take him to the planet, and he's just like
he takes him to all these different great restaurants, and Bulma's always just like, "Oh, I took him here already. I took him here already. I took him here already." And then he's like, "Ramen noodles."
She's like, "I was saving that," and then he fixes some for him, and Whis has a mouthgasm, and then takes him off to his planet to train him in the ways of the Force.
It's interesting. It is very Jedi-esque, or it's almost more Sith-esque. It's Whis almost reminds me of a gay version of Palpatine, kind of. And did that strike you?
Are you sure Palpatine wasn't already gay? Come on.
No, but he's more
you saw that opera. You saw that opera he was watching.
Okay, all right. Okay, here's how I'll compare them.
That's like the space.
Palpatine's more of a
cats.
Palpatine is more of a Harvey Firestein-esque gay man. And
Anakin, you gotta turn to the dark side. It'll be fabulous.
I gotta call my lawyer.
They blew up the Death Star. I gotta call my mother. I gotta call my lawyer. Nah, forget it.
And then I think of Whis as more of a fucking a Sith Lord who's more I don't know, a George Takei-esque Sith Lord.
Anakin knocks on Sidious's door. Can you make me a robot? Oh, honey, I'm so happy. No, what were we talking about? Whis.
Or Nathan
Whis is great.
Lane. Or he's like a Nathan Lane-esque Sith Lord.
Who?
Whis.
Oh. Yeah, he's a little bit more of a Nathan Lane than a Harvey Firestein, I would say.
Yeah. It was great. I gotta call my doctor. I gotta call my lawyer. Forget about my lawyer.
Nah, forget about my lawyer.
After the Death Star blowing up, that's great.
Oh wait, my lawyer was on the Death Star. Shit. Fuck.
Oh, damn. Well, good, now I don't.
I gotta call Tarkin. Ah, fuck.
Tarkin's dead too. Everybody's dead. Vader's floating off in space somewhere feeling sorry about himself.
I don't even know where he is. I could sense him all the way on Mustafar, but I don't know where the fuck he is this time.
Go to the Mustafar system.
My dark side powers are very, very inconsistent.
I'm so exhausted, darling. I need to rest. Alright, so we've established that Whis is a little more effeminate than Emperor Palpatine, so that's good. I'm glad that we achieved that. What did you think? What do you think? I saw a little bit of the training, so I guess we can talk about that. We're kind of jumping all over the place. You know what? No, fuck that. Let's talk about the fight proper. What the fuck was up with the dragons, Dylan?
Before we get into the fight.
Okay.
The dragons.
Why were they fighting with dragons at one point? They shot some dragons out and then they reabsorbed them.
Oh yeah, that was weird. That was weird. But
that was a trippy fucking moment.
One thing I really needed to talk about, because this was a whole episode and it was bizarre. Let's talk about that transformation.
Oh, fucking hell! Whole episode of the world crumbling as Goku turns into a Super Saiyan God. So the setup is identical.
In the movie, the transformation was a really neat moment, and it was cool looking, and, it was awesome.
It had a fake-out moment where Goku turned Super Saiyan. It looked like he got powered up, and then it wasn't actually the transformation.
Yeah, they did that in the show, too. But suddenly, the Super Saiyan God transformation was way overplayed in the show. It's
and the animation was garbage.
The sky opened up and the sea parted and there was lightning and shit, and there was everything turned yellow. The whole sky turned yellow and it was just weird. It was
it was literally God himself was like, "Yo, Goku, my homeboy, here's some mad fire, yo."
It was a major Daimajin moment. Even it was just insane. And it's a whole episode.
Was it good?
It takes a whole episode
Yeah, it didn't have to be that long, but was it good though?
They tried to make it even bigger and more dramatic, I think, than like the perfect cell transformation. You remember the perfect cell transformation? Here's the thing, though.
Vaguely, yeah.
Here's the thing, though. The perfect cell transformation. Watched that again recently. Beats this thing's ass.
Oh, definitely. Just because the animation of this is garbage, and I don't care because I already saw a better version of it.
It's just it was so weird. I was like, why do you have to make a whole episode out of the transformation? Why do you have to overplay it to this degree?
And I hate how they bring it up with
The
like, sorry for
transformation-
the wait, Beerus. It's like, fuck you, make it happen.
The transformation can constitute like the last 5 minutes of an episode. Then you have tune in next time to Dragon Ball Super.
I mean, how long was Goku's initial Super Saiyan transformation? Maybe 2 minutes?
Yeah, it's not that long. He gets angry, and then his hair starts doing the blinky shit, and then he transforms, and it's great.
The aftermath of it is played up way more than the fucking initial transformation. Like, actually showing off the power takes forever.
Like, there's a whole episode about him turning Super Saiyan, but it happens at the end of the episode. It doesn't constitute the majority of the run.
But it's the setup to transform him into a Super Saiyan. But it's also not like in that episode the whole time they're like, oh, he's going to turn into a Super Saiyan.
It works.
It's never even addressed until it happens.
And it works with Frieza because you got shit going on. You got Goku tries to kill Frieza with the Spirit Bomb, and then they think he's dead, and they start celebrating a little bit, and then Frieza shows up and kills Krillin.
You also
Goku. In this, all you have is Beerus and Whis standing on the sidelines like, all right, do it.
Yeah, like, just do it. But that's also, like, that works better for the movie because of the casual nature of the movie and the pacing of the movie.
Well, and it also works because the transformation in the movie takes, like, 5 minutes. You know, it doesn't take
an absolutely
entire episode.
This is so stretched out and overdone. It doesn't work very much at all.
It's utterly ridiculous. It's
absolutely
probably
stupid,
my least favorite episode because of just how fucking useless and ridiculous it is.
I don't know, the fight episodes got really boring, man. Like, there's like 5 of them, and in every one, it's Goku and Beerus punch each other for a few minutes.
It's true,
but then debate whether or not they should continue punching each other for 15 minutes.
But at least there were things happening.
Yes, things were certainly happening. By the way, I also love that moment where Vegeta was like sticking his neck all the way up, and Whis was like, "Doesn't that hurt?" And he's like, "I can just show you like a projection of it right here. Look at how clear it is." And Vegeta keeps looking up, like being stubborn and shit. That was a great moment.
Yeah.
Vegeta
has been great in the series so far.
He's been fantastic. I've heard like mumblings that he might become like the main character of the show at some point.
That would be great.
Toriyama really wants to do stuff with him, and he's been great. I love what I've seen so far of his and Goku's training with Whis.
Yeah,
where they're like having to do housework and shit.
I almost said this earlier, but I wanted to wait until we had gotten through a little bit more of the battle gods. I loved how Vegeta is the first one to go to the planet and start training with Whis, and then like however long later it is, like 6 months or something, Goku finds out that he's off training with Whis, and he's like, and then he like goes because he's a fucking baby.
He makes that exact noise. That is a verbatim quote from Dragon Ball Super.
It's like almost like Vegeta's been off training with Whis. Fucking Home Improvement. And then
Goku is a very much so Tim Allen type of character. Tim Allen is the American Goku.
He's such a fucking child in that episode too. He spends the entire runtime like begging Whis to take him to the planet.
Impatient too. I also love how he's abandoning his wife and basically running out on his family in their time of need.
Whis is having this like pleasant dinner with Bulma, and every now and then Goku just pops up. Are we leaving yet? He's like, no, and he's like, okay, and then he walks away. Then a few minutes later, are we leaving yet?
Yeah,
no.
And Bulma has to like scold him like a child and just be like, stop bothering him and he'll take you. And Goku's just like, okay, are we leaving yet?
We're there.
Yeah, it's great.
Are we there yet?
It's like that moment from the mummy returns. I guess it was the mummy returns. The money returns, making it rain. The mummy returns. Yeah, hey, don't shit on the Mummy Returns.
Spaceballs 2.
I won't let you piss on the Mummy Returns.
I'm gonna piss on the Mummy Returns. I have very fond memories of seeing that in the theater.
We should do that on Through the Shot Glass. That and the first The Mummy.
I don't have a copy of it.
We could get one. We could torrent it on the interwebs. That is a thing that we could do. But yeah, man. What else?
I'm a shifty guy in an alley.
Yeah, aka my room. The fight is not good, right? We can agree on that, certainly.
No, it's overstretched. There are certainly some moments, but I mean, it's just it's overall just.
But what did it have to offer that the movie didn't?
Absolutely.
Nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a slog to get through those episodes, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Week to week, it was like, all right, let's watch my 30 minutes of Dragon Ball Super. And then it was like, that was just...
Let me swallow my goddamn medicine that is Dragon Ball Super.
The whole time thinking it's going to get better after the Beerus stuff. And I was right. But, yeah, it was just really hard to get through those episodes, man. They just tried to take the movie and just overplay it so much. It's like there just wasn't enough there. And they didn't write in enough new stuff. They try with the whole, like... The collision.
There is new stuff there that is fun.
They try with like the destruction waves that are being caused.
That was the attempt that they made to make it a little bit more of like a Dragon Ball Z saga where the universe was at stake with the aftermath of their fight, but Beerus wasn't going to stop, otherwise he was going to destroy the Earth.
Well, and the other problem is it's like really vague. It's like
it also comes out of nowhere.
Elder Kai and Supreme Kai, they're like doing commentary on the fight, right? And Elder Kai.
Did you like that? They had a very small role in the movie. They have a much larger role in this.
Yeah, that was fine. I enjoyed seeing them again.
Okay, they kind of bugged me after a while.
I mean, I guess
Elder Kai is kind of unnecessary when you have Master Roshi.
I think
he's not as funny as Master Roshi.
I think you can make,
and they're like the same character.
I think you can make the case that they appear a little too much, but I don't know.
Do you agree though? When you have Master Roshi around, you don't need Elder Kai. Like they're like the same character.
The difference being, you can do things with Elder Kai just because of his status in the universe and the abilities that he has that you can't really do with Master Roshi. Like in order to,
but he's every time he pops up, he's always scared fucking shitless.
In order to have Master Roshi doing the whole like commentary on the fight shit, you would have to have like Fortune Teller Baba there at the same time, and it's like you'd have to. It's just easier to pop the old Kai into that role, I think.
Although I would like to see them together at some point. I don't think we've ever seen that.
That would be great. They could like go chasing some tail together. It'd be great.
That'd be amazing. It'd be nice to see the Kais go down to Earth and hang out with the rest of the Z crew. I guess they can't though. After the Boo stuff, like they're not really allowed to.
Yeah.
Usually have to bring them down.
I don't know what the rules are, but
no, neither do I. But
they're like offering their like commentary on the fight, and Older Kai's like explaining like, oh, their fists colliding are creating these like waves, and they're like doing damage to the universe. And then every time like Kibito Kai asks like a really specific question, like, how long do we have? Like, when's the universe gonna... I don't know. Is the universe...
And I like that. I like
the universe
like
going
that.
to die? Is it gonna get destroyed? I don't know. Might, you know.
That's it. But I like that like haphazard attitude about it, because that's very Dragon Ball Z, where it's like we don't really know what the limits are, but we're just gonna try and see what happens. Yeah. Like that's very Dragon Ball Z, and I appreciate moments like that. But just overall, just that fight is not very entertaining to watch. The dialogue is okay. But also, on top of all this, you also have to remember that Dylan and I watched this with the Japanese dub, and Goku's voice can be very irritating.
You grow accustomed to hearing it.
You get used to it, but you never really like it, at least not in my instance. I fully appreciate and respect that actress and what she's done and her work. I just don't happen to enjoy it.
It's a problem I have with a lot of Japanese voice acting, honestly. I remember when I watched Trigun. This was not an anime that I watched when I was a kid. This was something that I watched later, like just a year or two ago. And I was watching it on Netflix, and I tried watching the first episode in the original Japanese, because I figured by default the original Japanese would be better, and I couldn't fucking stand the voice actors. And then I watched the second episode in English, and I was like, I'm going to watch the rest of it this way. Because...
Yeah, when the dub comes out, I'm definitely going to rewatch this, because I think I'll like it more.
Because, and I don't know if it was just a thing of like the time period when like DBZ and Trigun were first coming out, they go really high pitched, like with Goku and certain other characters, and there are just times where I'm like, Jesus. And then other characters are all like, it's like two kinds of voices. They're the
that's exactly. There's no middle ground.
And it's like never the characters that you expect. Like you would expect. You know, the way it is in the American dub, you would expect Goku to have a more masculine voice and, like, a character like King Kai to have, like, a more voice. But then you, like, watch Japanese and Goku's all like, and King Kai's like,
I do like King Kai in this
I
do like King Kai in this show, though. I love that moment where he's like, Goku, how come you haven't wished me back to life with the Dragon Balls yet? That was great.
I've seen a lot of people hate on the King Kai Japanese voice. I don't hate the King Kai Japanese voice.
It can be a little irritating.
I like how fucking bored he always sounds.
Well, I also like that he's always panicking, too.
Yeah.
Like, I love that moment where he's running laps around his planet.
Even when he's panicking, though, he sounds bored as hell. He's like,
yeah,
what's going on?
I just love the moment where Goku turns into a Super Saiyan God, and he just runs around the planet just out of shock. Like, that was great.
It's good.
screaming at the top of his lungs. But yeah, so we're just about done here. But let's just, I guess we can wrap this up at the end of it. So what's different? So Goku gets knocked out by the bomb that Beerus throws down at the Earth that he negates, right? That's what happens?
Yeah, I believe so. It's been longer since I watched this than it has for you.
It's literally been hours, and I don't remember still. It's very unmemorable. Vegeta catches Goku, which is different in this. And then instead of Beerus coming down...
I kind of remember enjoying that moment.
Yeah, I like that moment. But instead of Beerus coming down, like, instead of them being in a wasteland, they're back on the cruise ship. And instead of Beerus coming down and having, like, a moment of heart-to-heart with Goku, that never really happens. They don't really have a heart-to-heart in this. A little bit when they're fighting each other, but not as much as they do in the movie. Basically, instead, Beerus comes down, is about to destroy the Earth, gives every indication that he's about to, then just falls asleep, and Whis takes him home and promises Goku that he'll train him.
Yeah, that pissed me off, because you had...
Or, like, that they'll have a rematch one day.
That pissed me off, because you had that great moment in the movie where he, like, says, I'm going to destroy the Earth, and he destroys, like, a little bit of the Earth, and he's like...
Oh, you only destroyed a little bit of it, yeah.
I did it. In this, he, like, just falls asleep, and it's like, well, you just ruined the ending of the movie, because he was going to destroy the Earth, and then he just fell asleep. It's like, it's fucking stupid.
It's almost like an anticlimax, and it was
funny.
And I
understand why they did it.
Goku made a joke about it, too. He was like, oh, it was an anticlimactic.
I guess I understand why they did it. I guess they had to do it that way, because they were on a ship now instead of in a wasteland, so he couldn't very well, like, destroy a little piece of the ship and be like, there, I blew up the Earth.
Yeah, I thought they were going to do that, and it would have been like, that's not Earth, you dumb piece of shit.
Yeah, you specifically have to, like, blow up a rock for that joke to work, so I guess that's why they had to, like, alter the ending. I just don't like it as much.
I'm completely with you, totally. But I did enjoy certain lines that Whis had, but overall, it's not as good, and it negates a lot of what made Battle of Gods so good, and that's unfortunate, because I wish that Battle of Gods was just what was canon.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate, because this is just a less good version of that. The characterizations aren't as interesting, it's just not as engaging overall. But... So let's talk about where I am and sort of hope for the future in terms of this, because we're just about done here.
Right.
So I'm just about at the place where Goku and Vegeta are beginning their training with Whis. I'm at the point where Whis is disintegrate.
Are we going to discuss the Super Saiyan Hercule episode?
Well, didn't we kind of already, where Hercule basically throws a press conference, tells everybody he's defeated.
We name-dropped it, but basically what happens... This was a great bit of filler. Well, technically nothing in Dragon Ball Super is filler because it's not based off of a manga. So whenever they do like a pointless episode, that doesn't really contribute to the story.
But it's not a movie, though, so you could still call it filler.
I don't know. No, because they actually are writing a manga, but it's actually an adaptation of the show. Nothing that they do in the show is technically filler by the classic like anime standards. So whenever they do an episode that like doesn't contribute to the story and it's just like a fun little episode, the people who hated those moments in DBZ can't be like, oh, it's fucking filler. So that's
yeah, but can't you still make the argument that it is because it's been done to stretch out the plot of a movie to a saga?
No, because this was like in between the two movies, the Super Saiyan Hercule stuff.
Fair enough.
He sort of references the events of Battle of Gods, but it's not actually filling up like space within the movie. Anyway, he tells this ridiculous story about how he destroyed Beerus, which he gets the name wrong. He calls him
Beerus.
What's he called?
Beerus.
Which I picture fucking like...
Free the Beerus!
I picture fucking Hercule punching Justin Bieber in the face, and that makes me happy.
Sorry! That's a Justin Bieber song, apparently. I've never heard it. I don't really care for the Biebs, even though they should free him. Free the Biebs, man.
I've only heard one Justin Bieber song, and it was the first one, and I hate it.
Baby, 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 oh! I don't want you to be my baby, man. I don't need a baby. I need a strong, independent woman.
How there was like national outrage over Friday and not over Baby is beyond me.
There was. It was just quieter, and we were trounced out by all the teenage girls who loved it. So we had to deal with that bullshit.
As a teenage boy who was already a crotchety old man, I was hating it. Anyway.
Me as well. That's how I felt. I was more like, hey, do you guys want to talk about Predator 2? And they'd be like, no, we're going to listen to Justin Bieber. I was like, but I want to talk about Predator 2. No! Fuck you and your Predator 2!
But this time, he's in town with a few dates to kill.
That's what I said to my, 13-year-old cohorts. I was like, yo, would you like to smoke some ganja, man?
Would you like to smoke some ganja, man?
It just in front of teachers, and they'd be like, "Oh, he's so cute, and that he thinks he's so ratchet, yo."
Word on the street is you'll be asking for favors.
It's always the same. You go around killing people.
The spirit world, man.
So
King Willie.
what do you think? It gets better, right, Dylan? Overall, the show does improve once you get to the Resurrection F stuff.
Starting with that filler episode where Hercule is pretending that he killed Beerus, and then you have these aliens that come to Earth to challenge Hercule to a fight because they're like, "You beat Beerus, we're going to beat you," and then he has that moment where he like fake punches Goku.
That was great, where Goku just does it to get away from Chi-Chi. That was really funny.
Amazing.
Also Goku having a cell phone was really funny, where he's waiting for Bulma to call him when Whis shows up.
Yeah.
That was really, really funny.
That was good.
I also love how Goku is just like, he's so inept that he's just like, I need somebody to fix this tractor. So I figured Bulma could do it, because like I guess that's the thing that she'd know how to do. But if not, like, yo, Mr. Satan, she's not around. Do you know how to fix a tractor? And he's like, not really.
But
he's like, oh fuck, then who am I going to get to fix my fucking tractor?
Direct quote.
Maybe my scientist fucking son, perhaps?
Maybe. Or maybe, you know, his like best friend since childhood, who's like dad is a scientist. I mean, the Bulma and Dr. Briefs rebuilt Android 16. I think they could handle.
No, but they weren't around though, so that's why he went to Mr. Satan.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a shame, because like I was about to say, they rebuilt Android 16. I think they could handle a fucking John.
They developed interplanetary travel, so I mean, what more do you want?
Capsules, motherfucker. I think they can do a tractor.
I think they can fix a fucking tractor. I don't understand why Bulma doesn't, like, I don't know, help Goku out and just be like, I'll just build you, like, a robot to do all the fucking radish farming for you. But I guess Chi-Chi would be against that sort of thing.
Oh, bitch.
Because her whole thing is like, oh, Goku needs to work hard. Like, he's a lazy, no-good fighter. Sounds like my parents.
Bitch is a bitch.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Oh, you asked me. It does get better.
Yes, it does get better, right?
Speaking about Dragon Ball Super, and yes, it does. And I don't really have a clear picture of where you are, but have you already seen the getting better?
Yes, I've noticed it. I've definitely enjoyed the stuff at the beginning of the Resurrection F saga more than I did the Beerus stuff.
Mm-hmm. Resurrection F is.
I also like that. I love that the moment, like the fucking chase scene in this between Krillin and those two criminals is shorter in the show. That was quite amazing.
Yeah. There are, Resurrection F is another example of the movie did it better, but there are more sort of things that they add that I enjoy, and it's overall just not done nearly as shitty. And then after that, you get into the Champa stuff, and this show is already, I've only seen a little bit of the Champa stuff because I've fallen a few weeks behind, but this show is already way better now that it's doing its own thing instead of adapting what happened in the movies.
I imagine so. So I can't wait to get to that stuff.
So yes, it does definitely get better.
It gets better!
It's just bad at first.
It's just, well, no, it's not, would you say it's bad?
Bad-ish.
I don't think it's bad. I think it's...
It's bad.
I think it's lackluster at best. It has bad aspects,
I think there are
but
moments
it's lackluster at best.
there are moments that are pretty bad.
Yes, absolutely.
I think there are whole episodes.
The animation.
I think there are whole episodes that you can just throw out at the transformation.
I think there are whole episodes that you can destroy with a knife that make me cry at night.
Great. Do it.
I would agree.
I say we take off.
I think that...
Nuke the site from orbit.
That's the only way to do so. I think that what we have here is a situation where you had a bunch of people who didn't want to do something, were forced to do it, made it as good as their budget and constraints possibly allowed them to, made it somewhat tolerable at most points, and then slowly but surely, as they were given more creative reign, made it better. That's my assessment of Dragon Ball Super. It's not terrible, it's watchable, but it's not as good as the movies. Dylan, do you think you can just jump right to the Champa stuff and ignore the Resurrection F and Beerus stuff? Because I'm not going to do that because we're going to review it. But do you think that people could do that?
I don't know if you can or not. I need to watch more of the Champa stuff to be sure, because I don't know if there's going to be any continuity stuff that requires those previous episodes to be had.
Has there been anything so far?
Not that I've noticed.
I might skip around a little bit then, just to get caught up maybe, so we could talk about it a little bit more on the show. But aside from that, Dylan, so overall...
I mean,
His first saga, Dragon Ball Super.
I feel like we've shat on it the entire video. I should probably mention all of the stuff that it does well is just where it sticks closer to the movie, and we've already talked about the movie at length. So
I'm kind of shocked that we actually got an hour out of this because we have talked about this already technically because it's so similar to the movie.
Yeah,
but it's
technically the exact same fucking story.
It really is, but in its differences from the movie, it is worse and not as good, and it's worse because it forces you to compare it to the movie, and it's just a complete mess in some places. So glad that it's getting better. Glad that it got better. This was a bit of a misstep. I wish that the return of a Dragon Ball show was a little better, a little more interesting, had a little bit more to offer. But overall, it's not terrible. I think there's some hope for the future here. I think that there's some good ideas planted, and it's overall quite entertaining. And I do imagine that once it is released in English, I'll probably enjoy it a little bit more. But, of course, that remains to be seen. So we'll have to wait to see what happens. But that's going to do it about for this week's episode of the Demons from Outer Space. Dylan, was there anything else you wanted to announce / say about what we've discussed here tonight?
No.
Okay.
I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, I think so as well. We'll come back to this, of course. Once I finish the Resurrection F stuff, we'll come back to this, and we'll do another episode.
Oh, what do you think of the opening titles?
I like them. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that at all. I love the music. It's for the intro and closing credits. I like.
They've changed the closing credits several times.
I like the first one better. The hello.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one the best of the three that they've had so far. At least where I'm. You've only seen two. So far, they've been getting progressively worse. So
it's weird. The first one is like Dragon Ball Z, even though the show is more like Dragon Ball, and the second one is more like Dragon Ball, even though the show is more like Dragon Ball Z. Have you noticed that?
And it's weird because I don't know why they've been changing it so often. Most anime will change the theme song like Attack on Titan. They changed the theme song halfway through. This, it's like they've already done it twice, and we're only like 30-something episodes in, and I don't know.
Totally. Them a few times. The theme song is still the same, though, right? The actual opening song?
Yeah, it's the same. The animation...
Do you like the song?
The animation has changed. Like, the Super Saiyan God in the intro is replaced with the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan.
Do you enjoy Chosetsu Dynamic, the opening theme song?
I do.
I like it quite a bit as well. I find it quite enjoyable.
Just little changes like that. Characters that they introduce in the story arc will appear in the opening title, like Jocko is in them now. During the Resurrection F story arc, you would have like shots of Frieza and Sorbet and them doing shit. So I mean, the animation changes, but the opening theme song has remained the same.
Oh, that's it. The animation has slightly improved from the Beerus stuff going forwards. That's also a positive as well.
And the animation in the opening and closing credits was always fine. But just
well, next week is a science-based topic, so obviously we won't be coming back to this next week. I'm not sure when we will come back to this. Probably not the next time we do an entertainment topic either. I think for the next one, Dylan, if you're down, I'd kind of like to talk about Man of Steel, because Batman v Superman's coming out soon.
It's true.
So do you want to do that?
I just recently rewatched that, so yeah, we could do that.
I'll sit down and watch it then, and we can do a video on that. Yeah, that we can get an hour out of that, no problem. Yeah, we can do a video on Man of Steel. We can even just do Man of Steel and what we think of this new version of Superman in general and this universe. I think that'd be a good... We could definitely get a full episode out of that.
We could get all into Batfleck and Baby Lex Luthor and
but
all
I almost
that
think
good
that
shit.
Maybe we could even do a separate video on that, because when does that come out? That's like
March 25th?
Okay, so next week we do a science topic, and then the next week...
I think it's March the 25th. Let me Google that.
Okay, so actually, we'd be recording an entertainment topic the night it comes out. So why don't we do the entertainment topic before that? We'll do Man of Steel, and then that night we could do like, I don't know, we could do our perceptions on Batman and Superman. Why don't we do a video on the relationship between Batman and Superman throughout the history of their relationship in the comics and on TV and such? Would you want to do that?
Possibly, yeah.
We could watch or read a couple of different things to prepare for that. We could like reread The Dark Knight Returns, talk about that.
I was right. It is March 25th. That is a month away exactly.
So yeah, we have a couple topics that we have to get through before that. Maybe stuff will come up in the meantime that'll take those spots. Maybe there's stuff that I'm not remembering. But we'll see what happens. We'll definitely do a video on Man of Steel, though, at some point. Because I think that's something we can definitely talk about and get an hour out of.
Definitely.
But until that point...
Maybe we can do a Through the Shot Glass of Superman 3.
That's not a bad idea, yeah. Or even like the Donner cut of Superman 2. That's not a bad idea.
Because Superman 3, it's shitty, but it's not as shitty as 4, you know. And Richard Pryor's there, and he's like, and like, you know.
We should watch an episode of the Super Friends, like the challenge of the Super Friends, and do that on Through the Shot Glass.
Oh, shit.
That's even better, I think, than...
Do a whole special of, like, episodes of Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
We could do a whole series on that, yeah. Well, these are all things that we should be planning off recording. But until next time, everyone, of course, you can always go ahead and like the SOS Network homepage on Facebook to get updates on all of our stuff. You can follow me on Facebook and on Twitter at Billy Worster or Bill Worster, respectively. You can join Toku Legion on Facebook to probably cause a lot more stress in your life than you need, but you can certainly do that and potentially get something good out of it. But aside from that, until next time, I'm Bill Worster, a.k.a. Zazubaar.
I'm Super DM64.
Gen Germans, they be fucked up, kids, and the animation of DragonBall Super certainly looks fucked up in several cases. So hopefully that improves.
Maybe it was done by Germans. I don't know.
Maybe it was done by Germans. Maybe that's why it's so haphazard. I love how the Japanese are sending animation out to Germany. Just like they sent the Japanese the heart of the Frankenstein monster. Good night, kids. See you next time.
Those old wartime alliances, man. I tell you.